Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly fascinating, incredibly comprehensive philosophical worldview. We'll be looking at a text by an author named Xu Feng, titled Interpretation of the Words of the Greatest Creator. What makes this document so captivating is how it basically blends theology, hardcore science, and strict rules for living into one massive, unified system. Now, as always, we're just here as impartial explorers. We aren't judging or endorsing anything. We're just going to objectively break down exactly what this text claims, how it views the universe, and, well, what it actually demands of humanity. Okay, let's dive into this by asking the core hook question that kicks off this entire belief system. How exactly does the creator of the universe speak to humanity? I mean, if there is a supreme being out there, how are they getting their message across to us? Well, the text gives a highly unconventional answer. It totally rejects the whole idea of a booming voice from the clouds, or ancient prophets carving rules on stone tablets. To make sense of this unique worldview, here's our roadmap for the explainer. We'll cover 1. The language of the universe, 2. Translating the creator's words, 3. Realms of reward and punishment, 4. Rules for a good life, 5. Universal laws over religions, and finally, 6. A new spiritual life. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the language of the universe. This right here is the foundational premise of Zefeng's whole philosophy. According to the text, the greatest creator doesn't use spoken language at all. There are literally no spoken words. Instead, the creator speaks through the very laws of nature and science. The author equates these divine words with what is traditionally known as the Tao, but he completely modernizes the concept. He claims that the true words of the creator are actually the formulas of physics, the molecular structures of chemistry, math equations, and the biological blueprints of life sciences. Basically, the universe itself and the scientific laws governing it is the message. And because the creator's words are mathematical and scientific formulas, the text logically concludes that traditional holy men aren't the primary messengers. Instead, everyday scientists and doctors are the true prophets. So physicists, chemists, mathematicians, and outstanding doctors, they're the ones actively translating the divine will. In this worldview, when a scientist uncovers a new law of physics, they aren't just making a scientific discovery. No, they're literally translating the mind of God. Moving right along, let's get into Section 2, translating the creator's words. And this brilliantly illustrates how the author categorizes human success and failure based on these universal laws. The text impartially argues that people who are successful, whether that's materially wealthy or spiritually fulfilled, are just the ones who have, voluntarily or not, followed the laws of movement and development. They've perfectly aligned themselves with the formulas of the universe. On the flip side, those who fail, or who find themselves poor, are the ones going against these natural laws. They ignore the creator or completely misinterpret the words. In this framework, going against the grain of the universe basically destines a person to suffer. So how do you actually get in tune with the universe's language? Well, the text lists some very specific mental and spiritual requirements to be a true translator of these words. You need to cultivate a calm and peaceful mindset, step into a complete spiritual and divine state, hold a deep reverence for the greatest creator, and have a profound love for nature, life, and humanity. It's kind of like a really intense blend of heavy intellectual focus and total spiritual devotion. Now, let's shift gears to Section 3, Realms of Reward and Punishment. Here, the perspective actually shifts directly to the first-person voice of the creator. To really showcase the sheer scale of the text's claims, it channels the creator, stating, "I am the greatest creator, the supreme ruler of the universe, the driving force of the universe, the energy center of the supernatural world." It's a massive, sweeping statement that establishes ultimate, unquestionable cosmic authority before laying out the consequences of our actions. And under that ultimate authority, we get a very clear contrast of the specific afterlife dimensions waiting for humanity. For followers who are rewarded, the text describes upper realms like the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and Elysium. In these places, you have absolutely no worry about food or aging, and you get to enjoy and play freely. But for those who face punishment, the text outlines lower realms, the netherworld, the frozen layer, and the inflamed layer, where souls will suffer torment and basically eat the bitter fruit they've sown. Which brings us to Section 4, Rules for a Good Life. So according to all these intense laws, how is one actually supposed to live a good human life down here on Earth?
The text fires off some very specific, rapid-fire directives here. You need to prioritize seeking the Creator. Don't waste your time. Pursue wisdom over material possessions. Don't limit your thinking strictly to 3D space. Be your own person, don't chase trends, and very importantly, do not pursue extraordinary abilities or try to achieve godhood. It pushes for this beautifully simple, ordinary, yet incredibly intellectually expansive kind of life.
But it's not all just abstract, high-level thought. The text connects deep spiritual success to very concrete, everyday environmental stewardship. It declares Earth as our home, demanding that we love every mountain, tree, and drop of water. It makes it super clear. Destroying your earthly home means having no home left in the spiritual realms, period. And that leads right into a stark, highly specific warning regarding human population. The text claims that humans must exercise self-control and not overpopulate. If humanity fails to do this, the document warns that disasters will befall us directly by the Creator's will. It's an incredibly blunt message about living strictly within the planet's limits. Next up is Section 5, Universal Laws over Religions. This is where we look at the text's highly definitive stance on modern human faiths. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the author explicitly separates the Creator from organized religion entirely. The text quotes the Creator saying, "I have not created many contradictory religions in the world. I've only created laws and regulations for the universe and life. Religions are created by humans, yourselves." It is a total, uncompromising rejection of man-made religious divisions. The author uses a very direct, almost blunt tone to dismiss religious rituals across the board. The text commands, "Do not build temples or churches for me, for the entire universe is where I am. Do not sacrifice animals to me, for I am the greatest creator, and I do not eat such things." It essentially strips away all the historical pomp, the grand architecture, and the sacrifices of traditional worship. So, if you aren't building temples, what does true reverence actually look like? The text dictates that it looks like everyday social responsibility. Revere with your heart, not superficial forms. Respect the elderly, care for the young, respect teachers, and humbly accept education. And finally, observe secular laws and respect rulers. It's heavily focused on community structure and personal integrity over religious ceremonies. Finally, we arrive at Section 6, a new spiritual life. Let's see what all of this ultimately leads to. All of these teachings and universal laws actually culminate in a very specific call to action. Shufeng extends an invitation to the reader to join a community called Lifechanyuan. By staying and studying there, the text promises you will grow your spirituality and basically transcend normal human ethics altogether. And the author ends on this incredibly contemplative, serene note. He writes, "Take a broad view, you will see the faraway mountains fresh and green. Open the windows, the sunlight and fresh air will come in." It's a really peaceful, poetic way to wrap up such a massive cosmic framework. So the crucial point is, we've just explored a paradigm shift that replaces ancient mythology with modern science as the literal voice of the divine, which leaves us with this thought. If the laws of physics and nature were truly a divine language, how would that change the way you view the world around you today? Would solving a math equation or taking a walk in the woods suddenly feel like an act of worship? Something to think about. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.